sticking it out in spite of it. Because we're saying that so many values, they try to get ladies of people that have no decision. Things about you. It's once should to do how their life should be. Listen, it's what's important for Gracie, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so I was testing something. So thank y'all. Figured I'd use this podcast to test something. Okay, so welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I didn't have time to change my headphones, so we just gonna keep rolling with these. I'll just try not to move around so much. Okay, so since we last talked, I've been fielding emails and responding like on social media on X. I think somebody from the last podcast just followed me, so awesome. And I just wanted to say it was a great, great engagement. And I said that in the chat. Let me know one, y'all can hear me, thumbs up if y'all can hear me. And it looks like you can see me. Okay. So um ran into a post that I feel like is the sets the tone for the next wave of conversation now that mini camp is over. Okay, mini camp is over. Shedeur stayed late. He worked out again. Not a surprise there, right? And I saw a post that said Kevin Stefanski names Shedeur Sanders mini camp MVP. And I said, what? If that's true, if that's true, uh, congratulations to Shedeur. I don't know if it's true or not, but I know it's funny. And I do know Shedeur, they put out the stats that we put out for everybody. Open OTAs combined with minicamp. And y'all know Shedeur, even though his name is at the bottom, uh, you know, he was the best one. So minicamp ended, Shedeur bowed out, best QB, best stats in minicamp, right? So now this is the conversation from now until what? They actually go to training camp. Now, if anybody knows the process from today on up to the last week in July or mid July when they start training camp, what do they do between June 12th and July 12th? If anybody knows, let me know. All right. So, because I think this was the last session of organized team activities. I don't know what they do now. So I'm learning with the rest of y'all. Um, so to me, where I see this going, man, Shador Sanders' camp was good. He unexpectedly balled out and showed everybody who he is. No mention of Colorado. Uh, he looks good. He stays late, he works hard, comes in early. That's what Stefanski said. So now you have the Cleveland podcasters. This is the train they on. Do y'all think that Cleveland lucked up and got Shador when so many other teams passed on him? I was like, what? See that minimizing the collusion? See that's where we are. That's where we are. And I told y'all, if they don't talk about if the conversation ends with the arguments, he's not a fifth round pick, and they gloss over or don't they disregard the next conversation. How did he get to 144 if he's an elite QB? They didn't talk about that? So they went right past that to now, man. Did Cleveland luck up? I think Cleveland lucked up and got Shador because we got lucky that so many teams didn't want him. So many teams didn't pass. Said, fellas, you mean when the owners took him off the board because he was entitled, nobody else could get him? That's what you mean. And you know what I said, fellas? If you're not gonna speak the truth, just move on to the next topic. If you're gonna see, that's what they want to do. They don't want to answer the question, why was he pushed down to 144? Because the answer is collusion. They don't want to talk about the fact that the owners used the word entitled that came from the New York Giants that also have the connection to what? That also have the connection to Ole Miss, that also have the connection to what? The Mannings. They don't want to talk about that. So now, did we look up and get Shedeur? No. Did they look happy that they got Shedeur for $4 million for the next 4 years? No. So, I mean, they don't even want to talk about that. Do they look like they lucked up on a bargain? No. Who else loves a bargain? Jerry Jones. Did he get him? No. They don't want to talk about what made them decide to draft him. What made them trade up to draft him? People say Philadelphia. I'm like, Philadelphia wouldn't get Shedeur because nobody could get Shedeur. It's called a moratorium. And it seems to be still in place. The collusion, they band together and took him off the board because he was entitled, according to the New York Giants. The moratorium is can't nobody get him until who comes up? 47. And then he gets drafted. So much so that they make one of the most asinine moves that I've seen. Trade up in the same round, 2 picks to get one in the same round. I told y'all they was gonna act like they don't know what happened. Minimizing what was done to Shedeur, minimizing the collusion, minimizing the moratorium on not drafting him. All of that's unethical in business. That's unethical. Did we look up and get Shedeur? No. The question is, why were you the only team that could draft after he was taken off the board? What does that conversation look like? And since they want to gloss over how he got an elite QB1 got pushed down to 144, guess what else they're not going to talk about? The money that was stolen from him, that they robbed him of, which means they're not going to have no sense of urgency when it comes to making sure he gets compensated. You think these guys having this conversation on their own like they some bird brains? No. This is the narrative that's being pushed out there. There's also a narrative being pushed out in college. NFL Ricky Watson put together the QBs, talking about how talented the 2026 and 27 draft prospects are. Then they made a list that looks like about 20 candidates, and it was not one person on there from Colorado. And I pointed out, y'all did the same thing last year. And Carson Beck was number one last year, and he is on your list again. And he not number one. And you put these people together based on what? This is what pushing a narrative looks like. This has nothing to do with their play because you haven't watched them play yet. And you just conveniently left out Colorado. And we have 2 QBs. So the narratives are starting, and that's what they use social media for. In particular, X. So I have to be selective about what I reply to. I bet some other teams are looking like, darn, we should have got him. They couldn't draft him. That's why they can't trade for him right now. Let's be honest. I made a clip. I don't know where it went, but I made a clip of a previous video where I was talking about there must be a moratorium on trading for Shedeur or starting him at QB1 because he can't even take first team reps. So more collusion. People are starting to ask why the narrative is being pushed. Man, we must have looked up. There is another group of people asking, is this more collusion happening in Cleveland? We said that, what, last week? They're catching up. That's why I'm selective about what I respond to on X, because I know what they're doing. They're using the platform, they're weaponizing the platform to basically push past the collusion and act like Shedeur went to a place that lucked up on him so they can bypass the criminality and the unethical behavior of the defamation and the collusion and robbing him of $43 million. And a lot of other perks that come along with being a first round draft pick, especially in the league where it seems you can't have no endorsements outside the club or the league. So, to the people that said that, no, you did not look up. The owners banned him, took him off the board, and nobody could get him, and that was evidence. See, the collusion is evident. You could see it, which is why they coming up with the narrative to push past it. Don't even get upset about it. I'm just gonna call it out, as are others. So stop with the false narratives and just move on to the next topic. See, sometimes it's better to just shut the hell up and talk about something else than to go on social media and put out lies and have people come back at you. Just move on. Just talk about something else. Maybe start talking about the games and who gonna play what games and who you want to see play what games. Because trying to force this false narrative down people's throats, like 7.3 million people did not see what happened to Shedeur, it makes you look ignorant and complicit. I ain't mad, but I'm calling it out. See, they want to act like everything's okay, like we didn't see nothing, like nothing happened. Nah, what they did to Shedeur was painful to watch. Just like how he was sacked relentlessly in year one. It was painful to watch, wasn't it? The draft was painful to watch. The Nebraska game in year two, painful to watch. And he didn't deserve none of it. And he lost a lot because of it. There are damages here. Not just his salary, his career earnings are negatively affected because he is stuck with this contract for the next 4 years when he could have a $40 million contract and make $12 million a year and have a $35 million signing bonus and wear his number two jersey, which means they try to disrupt his legacy. They don't want him to build one. They don't want to bring the one from CU. But it's funny how NFL Rookie Watch can sit up and talk about, oh, these quarterbacks are the best based on their experience, but then Shedeur gets negated for his experience and he can't bring it with him. It's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season. And see, they're using Twitter rather than the big box networks because they know y'all paying attention. They know you're going to go in. If any big box platform said that Cleveland lucked on Shedeur, that's going to strike a nerve. So once again, they're going not quite the middle, but the next step down. Platforms like X and Threads, where they can have these conversations and hope for somebody to agree. These people have no conscience, morals, and ethics, right? I'm like, y'all not tired of this yet. You're not tired of this situation. You're not tired of having to deal with this and hope and pray your contract is guaranteed and them sliding stuff in on you and negating your career earnings and devaluing you and trying to make you submit and assimilate. You're not tired yet. See nothing that says you cannot have an off-season flag football game in the Rose Bowl Stadium and advertise it and invite people to watch. And if that is the case, that's what you need to do ASAP. You ain't got to put on no pads and helmets. You do celebrity games. You can start with one. That's what you need to do. If they're playing flag football in the Olympics, there's probably not no provision against it. So before they put one in there and slip it in on you, you might want to hurry up so you can do your own thing. See, it's no fun being bound and gagged and restricted. So you can't even be yourself. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Hey, is that Tina? Hey, Tina, welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all, welcome back, welcome back. Everyone in the live chat, how you doing? Yeah, Shedeur was essentially auditioning, just like I said, Kenny Pickett, Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel. That's really what comes from this. Because why? They have teams right now like Will Shepherd trying out in Denver. People can make moves, move people around. Shedeur looks good. If they wanted to get, if I know teams wanted to get Bryce Young, trust me, It's teams that wish. It's teams that wish they could. That's why I ask questions. Is there a moratorium in effect? He can't do QB1 reps. The most they want to put him is two. They still have him listed as off the chart, not even fourth string. Well, fifth on there's no depth chart for the fifth place. So he's not even on the depth chart. But they still want to refer to him as a QB. I guess a fourth string QB. Even though he's the best QB they have. So it makes me look at, okay, so there is more collusion because I already said it was. I said they're trying to hold him back from QB1. That's what it looks like. But see, now camp is over. So the narratives get ready to switch up. So don't worry about you didn't see him take them QB1 reps. We done with that. Let's talk about we lucked up. That minimizes the collusion that you saw in the draft. We also don't have to compensate him for damages until we go to court. But that makes people think Cleveland didn't do anything wrong. That it's okay for Shedeur to be a fourth string QB and he's earning his way up. Isn't that what Mary Catherine said? Oh, he don't have to work hard. He the best one. He was the best one before he got there. He stays late, comes in early, extra practices. That's not new for Shedeur. Practice is not new for Shedeur. Social media is weaponized. The power structure is crazy. Yeah, it is. It is. Like I said, I pick and choose on X because, I feel like what people do on X is they use that. The bigger corporations and the media, the sports media in general, they use that to push their narrative. I don't know who the hell they putting it on. Because there's so many people on TikTok and they looking at so many other things on TikTok. Then there's threads and everybody's not on there. And it's hard for them to get their point across because there's so many people pushing back, right? And then what? Twitch. Nobody talking about this on Twitch. And if they are, it's not a big audience. I've seen people sitting around having conversations, but trust me, it's not a lot. So it's up to us to keep the conversation authentic. That's why I said, fella, stop. If you're not gonna be honest, shame on y'all. Just move on to the next topic. And that's all you can do. If you're just not gonna be honest, just move on to the next topic. Just like them pushing the narratives of who the quarterbacks are for 2026 and 2027 and saying this class was not talented. This class was hella talented because look at how people are excited about seeing Shedeur. See, the class is talented when it's not filled with black QBs. But like with this class, with the top three being black, it's not talented because Cam Ward is first, Shedeur is second. And it depends on who you ask. Shedeur is first and Cam is second. And then there's Milrow, somebody they barely talked to. So it was painful to watch what happened to Shedeur in the draft. And I can't stomach watching these people push this Cleveland lucked up when everybody passed, knowing that it was collusion. So if they keep saying it, it'll negate the collusion. That's their goal, which is more of an offense against Shedeur. Yeah, we know we hurt you, but get over it. Let's go. Uh-uh. Can somebody trade and get Shedeur? No, because if they could have, they would have already. If somebody could have got Shedeur, you don't think they would have got him in round 2, 3, 4? They took an HBCU player at 141 and Shedeur at 144. They know what they were doing. They took him off the board. The question is when. There's only one way to get the truth about that, and that's called discovery. Unless somebody gonna have a conscience in one of these organizations and put the truth out and leak it with some receipts. These people have no conscience. It looks like they don't. Yes, it was painful. Yeah, Juanita, it was painful to watch Shedeur get sacked that way. And what was the goal? To sabotage the program. And it was sad because it was orchestrated by adults who hold clipboards. And they thought that how they felt was more important than these young people's future. And it's sad that the ones that went along with it chose to toss away their future. Because I feel like, I'm sorry, you want to find somebody else. But I guess there's certain things they can make you think that this is what you're supposed to do based on preservation. Hey, Charger guy, how you doing? Charger City, how you doing? And that's pitiful that a rookie year is 4 years. Yep. And I said, once they get you, they got you. That's why these guys hadn't signed their contract yet. They're like, no, we're going to find out what we can do about this. Because look what happened to Caleb after he tried to circumvent it and what happened to him when he signed it. How many times did he say? 68? They said that's the most. So yeah, he locked in for 4 years. So, and I know a lot of people probably thinking, and see, these guys are young. They not 20 yet. We talked about that from the low. Oh, I can just go out there and ball out and stay early, go late, or whatever. But see, you're gonna have to be older so you can turn around and look at what they took from you. Because you're not gonna get all of that back. You're gonna always be behind the curve and your peers that you're equal to because they got drafted before you. Mason Graham could come in and go in 4 years and get paid whatever his contract was. And they ain't gonna say nothing. But if you come and go in 4 years, whether you balled out for them or not, they gonna have something to say. He wasn't permitted to the game. Josh Rosen came and left in 4 years flat. Came and got his millions and left. But you gotta work hard to get where? To that 5 year. And when you get there, by the way, when you get there, and that's why they give it to you in year 3. So I can keep you around and reel you in for year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, on and on. And then when you leave, you can't have no endorsements outside of they choosing. You got to start. Hopefully, you kept your money. See, all I see is they dangling carrots in their face, but then at the same time, they slide things in while you looking at, oh, I could make 250 million. Understand this: Josh Allen will always make more money than Lamar Jackson, who he came in with, unless Josh Allen retires and Lamar Jackson catches up from 250 million to 330. You see how that works? So you got to work longer to get what he got. And since I know you want to get it, I'm going to convert him to a pocket passer and you're going to do the same thing because you want what he got. I'll be like, you know what? I'm good after this. Once that 5 years up, I'm out. Just gonna have to accept the fact that this is what God wanted me to have, and He want me to have a 330, and I'm out. At least while you can still walk, be young, enjoy your life, and have triple or double digit millions in the bank that nobody can snatch back from you at any moment in time. What that does, this new clause, that your future guarantees can be rescinded. But what if you was to do that? So on the field, what? I still don't know what it is you can do on the field, and it doesn't state it. That's crazy. So that means you're gonna keep me walking around on tippy toes. I probably might maybe could be rescinded if I do the wrong dance move when I celebrate. That's control. That ain't nothing but a whip. When you say future guarantees, you mean next year or in perpetuity? It say future. So now you want to play with my future earnings. Oh, okay. You already devalued me, colluded against me, and now my future is on the line. I don't know how you don't get tired of that. Yeah, I hear them keep saying that. I'm like, what? Yeah, we lucked up on Shedeur. Yeah, okay. I believe something is going to happen during the season and we will see him. Yeah, because he's better than everybody that got. Oh, beautiful pass, I guess. That Flacco threw to who was it? It was supposed to be the Jerry Judy, but it was pass breakup. And I'm laughing because they say the wide receiver room is solid, but then people say Jerry Judy is the best receiver they have, and he not that guy. He used to be that guy. He not that guy. And I'm looking at the guy make the pass breakup, and him and another guy gonna start doing their dance. I mean, they love this game. But what I think is happening that they need to stop is accepting anything to play the game by their rules. And you need to start your own league. Player led, player owned. And you fill in the gaps like Unravel did so your guys can be treated better, respected, and compensated without fear of future earnings being tagged because I don't know, it's not stated, which means people are making you walk around on your tippy toes so you can get what's supposed to be guaranteed. Y'all see Shamar Stewart didn't sign his contract. Yep, we talked about that on the last one. So um, these guys got to decide, bro. You're not tired of this yet. Know it. I can see it now. Now that I've read some of the collective bargaining agreement, now that I know about the clause that Shamar Stewart is objecting over, now that I know Travis Hunter, that we know Travis Hunter didn't sign his contract, and I know that there are three others, and I know at least the three items at minimum that could be objected about, that people could object. Um, I'm like, okay, I think they all might be still unsigned because of the same one, the second. Future guarantees, avoiding of guarantees in the future. I think that might be the one. Because I know it's not C. So I think what it is, they don't realize they're being seduced. You're in college. Everybody want to get to the league. That's, to me, I guess it starts younger than that. But it seems like for sure in college that's the path. And if you're on a team and that's not your path, then you come in to get an education and, you happy, whatever. And even if you get NIL, you good because whatever the NIL, everybody can't go to the NFL. So honestly, if only 1% can go and there are 60 people in the room, then how many can go? So what is everybody else focused on? And to me, now that the NFL, the NIL money is out there and you can get it, Barry Mensa to me is the one that I use for an example because why? $4 million a year, totaling $8 million for 2 years out of Duke, who's not in the top of anything. They in the middle of their conference. And see, he didn't even have to go to the best school, but he went to a good school that wants to compete. So they're like, you know what? We're going to pay you $8 million to stay here. And he probably was like, cool. Because I don't know if he would have got there anyway. You see what I'm saying? Look at the guy from Tennessee that now is in Detroit and they want to swap him for Shedeur. Why do they want to swap him for Shedeur? He has not played beyond 68 yards in 2 years. Why are you swapping him for Shedeur? So you think that's the only way Shedeur going to get to the QB2 spot? If he go to Detroit, he going to have to compete with whoever's there. He shouldn't be competing over here. And neither should Cam. But you see, Cam is competing. They put Shedeur in the back of the line to force him to compete, thinking he can't get out, and I don't know why. Other than they won't allow him to, which is why you have not seen him do what? OTA, minicamp, OTAs, open and close, and mandatory minicamp have come and gone, and you did not see him throw with the ones. That's a choice that they made. And if they don't value him, why they don't trade him to somebody that could? The same reason why nobody else drafted him. Moratorium. Because they colluded to make sure that he's taken off the board. So now they colluding to make sure he stay away from QB1. And if I trade him like Russ got traded from Denver to Pittsburgh, and Russ went in a QB2 but emerged to QB1 and took him to the playoffs, where's Russ? Why they moved him? They brought in DK Metcalf. Why they didn't give them the opportunity to run it back? Because they don't want them to win. And they didn't want Russ to be a QB1 like they don't want Shedeur. All you got to do is look at Russ's journey and you can see what they're going to try to do to Shedeur. That's why I said I'm going to put them two on the thumbnail. If you look at the way they pushed Russ, who took them to the playoffs. Now, this is a league that's supposed to be about competitive sports and getting to the Super Bowl. You got him unexpectedly. He was your QB2. He comes QB1. Y'all get to the playoffs. You trade the guy to Dallas, that's the problem. Let's run it back one more time. That's common sense. I think we got it. We made some tweaks. We got NDK Metcalf. We shipped out Pickens. We got Russ, who was taking us there. We removed the problem. Let's run it back again. No, it was more important to move and disrupt. I told you disruption is a weapon. Just like to me, Mike Tomlin getting all the bad wide receivers to the point where people like if Mike Tomlin call you with I got a player for you, they gonna hang up on him. They set him up a long time. But he still has a what? He has never had a losing season, and he was about to get to the next level with Russ, and they forced Russ out. So Aaron Rodgers, and then wanted Shedeur to be QB2 behind Aaron Rodgers. So now you see that didn't happen because Mike Tomlin didn't draft Shedeur. So now you got ESPN with Aaron Rodgers in the big thumbnail and Shedeur in the small one. I was like, that's messy. That's the thing I said. I was drinking coffee. I was like, that's messy. I was like, okay, that's just messy right there. They doing. So no, Pittsburgh did not look up on Aaron Rodgers. And Cleveland did not look up on Shedeur. That's just crazy. Hit the like button for me, please. Thank you. So yeah, that's just crazy. Hey Jerry, I responded to your email, Jerry. It said the duplicity in mixed messages that comes from what? Reprobate. Okay. Minded people is over the top. Thank you, Ayala. Juanita said, yes, it was painful. Yeah, it's painful to watch Shador be treated like that. Peace, Juanette. How you doing? Welcome back. Devaluation, distraction, destabilizing is the continuation of the oldest refined strategy. And that's what we're seeing. See, I think, see, a lot of, I know I didn't watch the draft like that. I don't know if I don't think I've ever watched an NFL draft. And I don't know if I'm gonna watch the other ones, but we got some people coming out to see you. So I'm probably gonna hear about it. I don't know. I'm not gonna be tuned in for 4 hours like that. Cause I almost wasn't tuned in for that one. I just knew Shador was coming and going, and I was getting ready to do something else. And I was like, okay, I guess we still here. So Travis didn't sign his contract yet. Nope, he did not. Good afternoon, Jungle. How you doing? Hendon, that's his name, Hendon Hooker. I kept saying Henry Hendricks. I couldn't get it right. Hendon Hooker should be starting. He's on the rise and threatening golf. That's why they want to trade Shedeur. Okay. And so they want to get Shedeur over there in his number 2 spot. That's why I said they're not gonna make. And why is it these two? There are 4 people on that depth chart, and why they want to trade him? Why not the number 3 guy? Because they're gonna make Shedeur compete with him anyway. Just like they make Shedeur compete with these people over here. That's disruption. Now he got to go to Detroit and start over. And this guy has played no more than 68 yards in 2 years, so they're going to put him at the back of the line. Anybody notice they both black? That's just like Russ and Jameis Winston in New York. Why Jameis Winston is the odd man out? Why is it not DeVito, the 4th string guy? Why is it not the 3rd string guy in Detroit named Kyle or somebody? Why is it the 3rd and 4th stringers get the rest when they right, but the black ones got to go? Dak is in his prove me year. It's been 9 years. But I have never heard anybody say Daniel Jones got to prove anything. Oh, I'm sorry. We just gave Daniel Jones $14 million. This is prove me year for 1 year to prove himself. What? The fix was in. Yep. Nobody was drafting Shedeur. And I want y'all to know, what have I been saying? It's still continuing. The fix is still in. They are sticking to the script. That's why what is it? No running with the ones. That's why. They don't want him to be QB1. I told you that's what this is about. The more people start to realize they just don't want him to be a QB1. They just don't want him to be a QB1. The more that people start to say that, then they're going to realize what this is about when it comes to Shedeur. But then when the season starts, and they got Cam out here that a lot of people don't know about competing with Will Levis, And if they do to Cam what I think they did to Malik Willis, which is bench Malik Willis for Will Levis, and then trade Malik Willis to Green Bay, and he balling out. Cleveland already did that with DTR. They drafted him. They had him playing in some weird games. Mind you, he a fifth round QB. He was drafted in the fifth round. Don't know him enough to know if he's true fifth round talent, but that's what they had him come in as. Why in the preseason instead of Deshaun? Why is it the first games, I think, when they played Baltimore, not preseason, when they played Baltimore the regular season the first time, you got Deshaun Watson. You got PJ Walker. I think that's his name. I need to find him because he was good. Why you didn't let Deshaun Watson take on Baltimore? Why would you put DTR out there and you drafted him in the fifth round, which means you think that he's subpar and you got $240 million Deshaun Watson? They lost. You know what they used that for? We just gonna put him in the back. But then when they play Baltimore again, they put Deshaun out there and win. So it wasn't about winning. It's about proving why I'm not gonna let him be no more than he is. And all they did was trade him, and that's the Kenny Pickett swap. So they swapped Kenny Pickett for DTR, and to me, DTR won the trade because why? He behind Jalen Hurts. If I'm gonna be QB2, I'm gonna take the Super Bowl. I'm gonna just go. I mean, Kenny Pickett got a ring as a backup, right? Wasn't he in Pittsburgh first and he wasn't good there? Then he ends up where? Or was it the other way around? Because I think Kenny Pickett just came from Philadelphia and with a ring for the Super Bowl, and now he in Cleveland and Shedeur compete with him. BTR won that trade, just like Malik Willis won the trade to Green Bay. I don't know where PJ Walker is to know if he won the trade or not. Deshaun Watson won the trade out of the Texans, and that's all he asked for at first. He eventually won that trade. Seems like the only way you're gonna win is if you get traded. And people do expect Shedeur to be traded after this season. Jacksonville, I think, is the team. They're not sending Shedeur behind JJ McCarthy. They're not putting Shedeur behind Daniel Jones. They want those two to be QB1. So they're making a wait. They move all the competition, Darnold and Jones, from JJ McCarthy, so he could be the undisputed QB1. And now with they wanted Jones to compete with Anthony Richardson, but he hurt. So there you go. And if Shedeur go up there, I'm pretty sure he gonna beat out Daniel Jones too. That's why he not running with the ones. Because then y'all gonna be like, we want to see him start. And they're gonna be like, we didn't see him with the starter, so yeah, we don't know. They keep saying don't buy into that. So you could just move on. But it's over with now. It's over with. That's the only reason I watched. It was for Shedeur and Shiloh. Yeah, I watched for all the Buffs. I did. So yeah, Juanita, I get it. RG3 was the first one to say how they were going to deal with Shedeur on his podcast because of his draft status. Everything is happening like he described because that's why they did it that way. When they tied the money, they tied the draft status to around the money to the round. That's how they began to weaponize what? The rounds in the draft. Said that. I mean, that you don't have to be a football player to know that. You just got to look at how Jalen Hurts was treated. You just look at how Lamar was pushed down. You just have to know, because I studied it, that the NFL badly discriminates against black QBs in the NFL draft. Should do it too. He's just the most extreme case because of what was at stake. 16, 17, and 18. So it didn't take a genius to see that. Natalia, how you doing? DTR supposed to be QB1 in Cleveland until Watson was cleared to play. They keep moving these black QBs or changing the playbook so they can't get comfortable. Right. Weaponizing instability. That's why I don't want Shedeur going to Detroit. That's disruption. Now he got to start over. Now he got to compete. That's how they try to keep him at the back of the line. But see, Geno Smith, they thought he was going to be gone by now because that's exactly what they did to him. He was on 3 different teams in 3 different years, and they were all lousy teams. And then he goes to Seattle under Pete Carroll, gets the opportunity, balls out, and guess what? Now he in Vegas. Like it Shedeur, because that's what that was. Because they wanted to move Sam Darnold to Minnesota. and spread out Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, and Daniel Jones, and they succeeded. All three of them were on the same team last year. Now they on three different teams as QB1s, or in Daniel Jones' case, because Anthony Richardson is hurt. They wanted Jones to compete with Richardson anyway, so they got what they wanted. And sometimes you got to give people what they want. If Dak don't get it together in Dallas with some playoff games, Joe Milton will replace him. Let's see. Because I knew when they moved Joe Milton from behind Drake May, they were moving him behind another black QB. So they cool with that. But you're not going to see him replace Sam Darnold. You're not going to see him replace JJ McCarthy. You're not going to see Shedeur play behind any of them either. Because why? I'm stacking black QBs together, which is why they want to swap the guy from Detroit with Shedeur. That's why I'm like, why I gotta be those two? Because that's all they want to do. Just move them around. It's called musical chairs, but they don't gain nothing. It's not a gain of anything. It would have been a gain if Shedeur went to the Saints. It would have been a gain, not if he went to Pittsburgh. It would have been a gain there. That's why they want Aaron Rodgers in. You put Shedeur and Russ together, at least for 1 year. Come on now. Come on now. New York think they didn't want Shedeur. They got Russ. They bit off more than they could chew, believe me. And I see that as a God thing because they didn't want him either. They wanted Aaron Rodgers, but he just didn't want to go there. They wanted Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. And we're gonna have to wait to the end of the season to see what happens. Geno Smith. Yep, Geno Smith is he said it. Well, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back, and he still ain't at $100 million. I think this contract might get him closer to it. It should get him over it if he's still there, because I don't think it's guaranteed. You see how that works? I can see it, but I don't know if I can touch it. But then people say, well, Seattle didn't want to pay Geno Smith. I'm like, he got the same record that Sam Darnold had in Minnesota. All they did was get Sam Darnold from Minnesota and put him over here. They just spread the other three out and moved and blocked. They have talked about this. So they know exactly what they're gonna do with Shedeur. They're gonna put him out there in the preseason with if he's still there. They're gonna put him out there in the preseason if he's still there. But we already know what we're gonna get. And they're not hoping for nothing different. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway. He balled out in our faces and he still didn't get to run with the reps. So they know they can put him in preseason and they still gonna do what they want to do. Let's see if he's still there. Because he could end up over there with Daniel Jones, and maybe they think that much of Daniel Jones that they crazy enough to put Shedeur behind Daniel Jones, but they were crazy enough. They were crazy enough to put a Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson comp behind who? Sam Darnold in Seattle. And now they know they need to move him to three because two not back far enough. And two is not back far enough for Shedeur and behind Daniel Jones in Indianapolis. Shedeur made every one of those passes. Yeah, but Shedeur balled out. That's why when I saw Stefanski named Shedeur MVP minicamp, I was like, what? I was like, I've never heard of that. I don't know if it was real or not, but it's true. And yes, Stefanski had great things to say about Shedeur. And they're going to do what they want to do anyway because they did it and they succeeded. They did not want him to run with the ones. Did he? No. So as long as they keep getting their way, they're going to be like, nah, we ain't going to trade him. Just leave him right now. Then we'll just let him play in the preseason and they're going to hoop and holler and want to see him and we're going to do the same thing. Yeah, whatever. And we're going to do what the hell we want to do. If another team really could get him, they would have did it. Anybody remember what happened when Panthers bench Bryce Young? They got some phone calls. They was gonna go in there and execute a black ops mission and get him out of there. And they blamed the Panthers. They showed, he good. Y'all crazy. If they could do it, they would. They cannot. To me, all this proves is that there's a moratorium. You can't, you in the draft, you can't draft him. We took him off the board. Nobody's getting him. What nobody gonna violate that? And now Cleveland has a directive. Don't let him run with the ones. They yelling and screaming. Then let him run with the twos. That'll shut him up. So they got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. So yeah, I don't like the conversation and the narrative they pushing, but I'm not surprised with you when you're right. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you, Juanita. It said, just imagine Shedeur got to play for Tomlin. Yeah, they know. That's 10 more years of winning. They want him to be here next year. The season started with, they said, six black QBs. Six black QBs. And now it's four. Next year it might be two. See, they bold with it right now. And y'all know why. And the owner didn't insist that the coaches play him with the ones, right? And wasn't he out there, Jared? They said he was out there. I was like, okay. I told y'all. He did not pick him by choice. That was a directive. They decided you pick him because you pre-draft, so maybe you could say you got him for cheap. That's what Andrew Berry said. Well, his price in the first round was relative. I'm like, he just lied like a rug, just naturally. You can't trust people like that. Yeah, his price to the relative to the draft was kind of high, so but he already answered the question. What did you think on day 3 when you went to work and Shador was still there? We was just gonna see how far he dropped. Now that's crazy. He not the best QB that the played out here, and watch he get a contract extension because he useful. And the owner did not insist that the coaches play him. I told y'all. Hell, Vince Young had whatever the owner of the Texans was at the time phone number, and you see how they treated him. That's why I was like, that's negligence. They set him up. They was gonna always do what they did. They wanted him to be comfortable. See, that's what they do. Oh yeah, you good. Come play for us. All right. Now we know you didn't play in a pro style offense at UT. So we want you to be in a pro style offense. Well, what does that mean? We don't want you to be a dual threat. We want you to be a pure pocket passer. He just didn't tell him that before he got drafted. Because they don't want these guys to go anywhere else and A, start their own league, because they will have an abundance of talent, or B, enrich another league. So draft and destroy, draft and bench, draft and devalue. No. Some people say if I can't beat you, join you, right? To me, they just do what corporations do all day. See, you dual threat QBs and you QBs that are black as my competition because I don't want you to get here. So I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna collect you, and I'm gonna put you somewhere. And I'm gonna move you out the way. And I'm gonna overpay your peers. And you're gonna be fine with it because you want the money. Unless you're rich. I don't think Pittsburgh will make the playoffs, just my opinion. If the Jets didn't, I don't know why Pittsburgh would. But they've already paid him more than they paid Russ and watch New York get somewhere. And nobody up there been fired yet. I'm just waiting. I guess somebody gonna have to force them to do right. But I do believe if Donald Sterling was forced to sell his team, that character assassination orchestrated, executed by the New York Giants against Shedeur Sanders so they could get their guy that's struggling, whether he's struggling or not. But the fact that he's struggling just further confirms you knew he was not as talented as Shedeur, and you chose to assassinate Shedeur's character so you could justify why you didn't draft him. You didn't get Milrow either. That character assassination alone ought to be the reason the team should be forced to be sold to someone else. But the league has not been fined for sending out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to 2,000 people and creating a hostile work environment. Bud Adams was the owner that drafted Vince Young. The head coach, Jeff Fisher, didn't want him. The owner didn't either. I don't care what nobody said. Why he gave him his phone number, but then let Jeff Fisher treat him like that? And then what happened after they finally released Jeff Fisher? They eventually, right after, released who? Vince Young. Because they know they were negligent. That's what corporations do when they think you're going to sue. Send the problem on. And then you thinking you good because you think you helping them out to get rid of a problem. You a liability. You know about it. So I got to get rid of you too. And then he went from team to team to team and eventually away. They can do it in their sleep. Sam Darnold's contract is $100 million. I'm born and raised in Seattle. They pay who they want. No, they overpaid. They overpaid Kirk Cousins. They overpaid uh Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. I don't know what they did in New York with the Jets, but they probably overpaid him too. They overpaid him. They overpay him and they let him overstay. We got a whole club full of 2% battery lifers out here that's just mucking up everything, killing. It's just mediocrity on top of mediocrity that is overpaid. Surprised Carr was like, you know what, I'm out. I'm like, sometimes the circus is just too much. But then they keep people like Flacco around. People like he should have been retired. His last season in Indianapolis was terrible. If he's so good, why did he go back up there now that Anthony Richardson is hurt? Maybe that's where he going. Maybe they're gonna let him and Daniel Jones split up the season. Wouldn't surprise me. He just left there. He don't want to be in Cleveland anyway. But I will tell you this: his $4 million contract is loaded with incentives that could total $13 million. 4 times 3 is 12. That is 3 point some odd 1 times or 2 times more than his actual salary. I wouldn't leave either. That's crazy. And they underpaying Shedeur. They making, but they paid. They paid Cam, but he got to compete with the guy from last year. So basically, I drafted you, and I'm gonna do what I did to a lot of your other people. I'm gonna make you earn this, but I'm gonna just overpay him. Yeah. So I'm like, they not tired yet. Shit, I'm tired. They run it in place. It's not the intent, it's the impact. Intent matters too, though. Shedeur 144 is an agent of change. It might be. God can bring good for bad, but what they did to Shedeur was criminal. I was speechless. Every call, my heart said, right. And it's like they wanted to hurt him. The character assassination, and then the owners using the character assassination. It wasn't just about taking him off the board because he never had to be in the draft. Understand that. And if they knew on or before February 20th, which was before the combine, the NFL doesn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, emphasis on timing, then why was he invited to the draft? They have been disparaging him since what? At minimum, the combine. But they was hanging out with him at the Super Bowl. But February 20th, the NFL don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now. So why you invite him to the draft? There is no excuse for what they did to Shedeur Sanders. He never even had to be a part of their process. You don't just get to walk up and say, I want to be in the NFL draft. They have to pick you. They could have said no. Didn't they invite people to the combine? Did everybody at the combine get invited to the draft? Was everybody drafted? He's a very select group of people. He was chosen. They chose him. And it's like they wanted to hurt him and embarrass him and humiliate him with the prank, with the giving out his phone number that made the prank possible. And now in Cleveland. No, you the best out here. We all see it, but I ain't gonna let you run with the ones because I know that's what you want. What did Shedeur say? I'm good. I got time. See, that took the wind right out of their sails. They hate that. They did the same thing to him pre-draft. They did the same thing to him weeks before the draft. Oh, he's tumbling down to 6. I'm like, that is not a tumble. That's where he want to go anyway. Oh, he's tumbling down to 21. Shedeur say, it don't matter where you go. It takes the wind out of their sails every time that they can't get to him. And they just keep trying and trying. And what did he say happened in Cleveland? His strength, his spirituality was resolved. It was strengthened because he gonna need it if he want to be here. And he gonna need, and he probably already is, he gonna need what Russell Wilson got. Because how many years he been in the league since 2013? Resolve. That's why I see them similar. Just look at Russell Wilson's path and how he was treated. And he's still here, and they did not want him here. Yep. No, they don't. They don't. They don't want to enrich the black players. I need you for this labor. See, that's the thing right there that gets me. You know they need you, right? Because as much as they demean and belittle you and make you feel like you're not valuable, if they could replace you, they would have done it by now. So that's what you're supposed to take and go start your own. That right there. They make it too easy for them. They need to walk away. That's what Warren Moon did, and he won. See, Warren Moon won, and so did Charlie Ward. No, wait, did he go play basketball or football? Whoever went to go play basketball, I think somebody had a choice, and they ended up going to play basketball. Yep. I remember Coach Prime saying he glad his sons didn't have his speed because he know quarterbacks are treated differently from DBs. Also, he thought. Because what happened to Lamar Jackson is exactly what happened to Shedeur Sanders. It was just the most extreme case. Drop it in the chat why 2025 made Shedeur Sanders being devalued because that's all it was. The same thing they've been doing. The most extreme case. What was at stake? Drop it in the chat. That's why I was hoping he was going to Pittsburgh and Wilson being there. I know Russ would have helped him. I think Russ is. I think they talk. I think people talk to people. I think these guys talk. They don't let it be known, and that's smart. They let them think y'all don't know each other because they don't want them unified. No way. Understand that. They don't want them taking up each other. They don't want nobody to speak out and say, "Man, what they did to Shedeur was bad." I heard what Malik Neighbor said. He couldn't say how he wanted to say it, but he wasn't happy that they didn't get Shedeur. So yeah, if another team could have drafted Shedeur, they would have. That's how you knew. People said, damn well Jerry Jones would have got Shedeur for $4 million. People talking about Philadelphia was going to trade up. I don't give a damn what Philadelphia was going to do. That was a directive. He wasn't even on the board at that point. He wasn't even on the board. Let that sink in. He was not on the board. So what made Cleveland decide to take him off the board? Were they the ones that said it? Because we don't know exactly which owner said it. We know Boomer Science told us they said it. The owners, plural, with the S at the end, with parentheses, plural, said, take that entitled so-and-so off the board. And they all listened because the owners are what? Incestuously close. Collusion is not a new tactic in the NFL at all. And this one is damages. So I don't think they're going to move it. I think they're going to leave him right there. Then again, he might be in Indianapolis, so I don't know. When they were at CU, Russ was there. Russ was there for 2 days. Yep, I did that and trained with Shedeur in the Bucks because I know he came to tell him. Because think about it, CU's pro day was April 4th. That's 20 days before the draft. So I think Russ came because all the negativity following the combine was happening with Shedeur. And I think Russ came to say, hey, I think he imparted some wisdom on it and it's working. It's working. It's working. Boomer needs to be subpoenaed for his telling the owners. I think he was. I think he was subpoenaed. But I think the case has to take the next step forward. I don't really know. But I do think he was. So yeah, Gretchen, I think you could Google it. I think he was. When they were at CU, yeah, no, Russ was there. I do remember somebody else saying it. And that's why I said I think they talk. And I know he get encouraging texts. See, the NFL don't want these guys rallying around each other. They don't. They don't want these guys rallying around each other. That's why I look to see who got cut out of Cleveland. And I'm going to look again when we get to the 53-man roster because there were people rallying around Shedeur. So, So, yeah, the whole narrative about did we luck up on Shedeur? Now they need to shut that down. They need to shut that down immediately because that's more disrespect. We're not going to disrespect Shedeur. I'm not going to let you disrespect Shedeur like that. That's why I got to pick and choose. And when I unload, I'm gonna be like, look, just move on to the next topic if you can't be honest. Because I'm calling you a liar. I'm calling you a liar because I know you know better. If you're a Cleveland podcaster, you know what's going on. You're not gonna sit up here and disrespect Shedeur like that. Just because they did it don't mean you could do it. And nobody said they got away with it yet. Time will tell. I think it took what's his name? The guy that sued the Marriott, played for the Dallas Cowboys, Michael Irvin. I think his case was settled. It took 2 years. Cassie's was what? 24 hours because of what was in it. So that's the difference. What was in it and what's at stake. Now, maybe if it was $10 billion and it was just loaded with all sorts of things, that they don't want to get out, and then they trying to get next to Discovery, then maybe they move a little faster. Hey, Yaba, how you doing? So, it's just one of the things that I don't really care for how they, because that's just more disrespect to Shador, and we're not gonna just sit there and stand for that. And he needs to know that, and you don't have to be rude to people. I was just like, hey, y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself, because the owners took him off the board, so you didn't luck up on him. And if you're not gonna tell the truth, just move on to the next topic. And then there were other people you're calling it collusion, say you mean the collusion, right? So I'm happy to see people challenging the lies and the narratives that they pushing, because that's really what that's all they use it for. This is what we want people to think, so push this incessantly. That's what they're doing. Like, we don't know the difference, or if they say it so many times, it's some kind of Jedi mind trick that we just gonna believe it. And y'all talk about the other lady using the same narrative as Karen. Mm-mm. Listen to none of them, to be honest. Ever since I did I guess you could say I did like a reaction to one of her interviews when she was talking about Shador and the other guys and what they have to do to win. And, she was talking about Shador and Colorado and this, that, and the other. Ever since that, I don't listen to them. I got to protect my peace. It is showing on TikTok that the NFL has over 200 million off of jersey sales. Right, right. When Trump said they were stupid, you do know that's what he's talking about. The money they could make. But do you see them letting him wear his jersey number? And I have still not seen that guy that's wearing the number 2 in anybody's route running or nothing. And I saw the ones today because I saw Flacco throw a pass to Jerry Judy. It was a pass breakup. I was looking. I was like, I still don't see that guy with the 2. Just like they used Dylan to block Shador, they used that guy to block Shador's their jersey. They knew they was going to sell the jersey regardless. They know he's famous. He was in there playing football game. They know we was going to watch the draft until he went. See, they didn't even have to do him dirty like that. They could find some other way to do that. But they wanted us to watch the draft. But see, it wasn't just about the draft. Because why? The draft ended, April 20 something? And you see them still holding him back in Cleveland. And all you got to do is go listen to Chase Daniels talk about, uh, what's his name? Jackson Dart sneaking into the first round. The first time he said it, they already knew. And look and see how far that is from March 31st to when the owner of the Browns said, I think we took a big swing and missed, and they pivoted from Shedeur, but didn't tell him. And started secretly meeting with Dylan Gabriel. Why they just didn't publicly meet with Dylan Gabriel? Look at how far March 31st is from when Chase Daniels and other people parrot, because they always saying it at the same time. I think that Jackson Dart is going to sneak in the first round. And they said it with certainty why they not in their head, I think. Because they knew. Just look at the date, March 31st to the first time you heard that. And see what happened in the middle. So, that is what it is. Jedi mind trick is nasty work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what it is. The lip of truth shall be established forever. Yep. But a lying tongue is but for a moment. Facts. I saw number 2. Okay, Hayes. What was number 2 doing? Was he playing or was he on the side? So he's still over there. He's third on the depth chart. Let's see if he move up or down or disappear. Because I think they're gonna do the right thing. I think the fact that rookie minicamp and mandatory minicamp came and went with everything in the middle, and they never let Shedeur run with the ones, means they are still saying he's a 4th-string QB, or maybe he's the second. But when they positioned it, and I was trying to see if it was alphabetical order, it was Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Shedeur. That's not alphabetical by last name, right? Because Flacco's an F, Pickett is a P, Gabriel's a G. So really, if it was out, so that proves it. It was not alphabetical. Because if it was by alphabetical order, it would have been Flacco, Gabriel, Pickett, and Shedeur. So they still got Shedeur as a 4th-string QB because that's how Cleveland reported their stats. The ESPN Cleveland show, that's how they reported their stats, with Shedeur as 4th. So yeah, they let him run with the tools, but he's still the 4th-string QB. And they want to get the second string QB, who's also black from Detroit, who has not played 68 yards, and send him to Cleveland so he could be behind Dylan. When he been in the league longer than Dylan, he's supposed to be better than Dylan, but he only played 68 yards. They got a way to hold him back because they already did. And then prefer to put him behind Dylan and then send Shedeur over there to disrupt his progress and make him start over. They're not putting him behind Jared Goff. If they do, they don't expect Jared Goff to they expect that the contract is the reason why Shedeur will never get there, because that's what they're doing to Jalen Milroe. The owner should have overridden that and told the coach to give Shedeur two. Why? Why do you think that, Gretchen? Because from what I saw on the video, the number 0 to 19 was reserved for QB and kickers and coach's approval. Well, he did get 12 and he didn't pick it. They gave it to him. They're not helping Shedeur. Hope people now see that he was just out there yesterday. It's not helping Shedeur. How many times did the owner pass on Shedeur after he was the only one pursuing Shedeur publicly? He in on this too. We took a big swing and messed with Deshaun Watson. You knew that. If that's even true, because we don't even know if that's true. He has a winning record of 8-4. We don't know. He been too hurt too much to tell. So to be honest with you, and you can't as an employer drag your employee because they hurt while they doing your job. That's like getting workers' comp and then they out here trashing you at the company pick. You can't do that. I was out here working for you when I got hurt. So he is going to be careful. I'm going to end on it. When they said the owners said take him off the board, he might be one of the owners with the S. He not helping you do it. Y'all gotta let that go. You gotta let go of prime tax. Good job. Y'all let that go. You gotta let go. He's a Sanders. Let that go. Nobody's harassing Shiloh about his social media at all. And his numbers are up. He got Shannon Sharp numbers now. So, and none of the other guys, 16, 17, 16 to 18, Milroe or Cam, are Coach Prime's children, and neither is Joe Gilliam, Warren Moon, Dante Culpepper, Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Briscoe, don't know his first name, Marvin Briscoe or Briscoe. None of these people are Coach Prime's kids, and they all in doing the same thing because they're black quarterbacks. That's the commonality. Coach Prime is collateral damage. He's a scapegoat. I need a story. So y'all got to move past that narrative. Owner's not helping Shedeur. They got forced into drafting Shedeur. 47 didn't come out and let the world know that he controlled the NFL for nothing. Conclusion, sell these teams. If you just got to do all this, just don't go buy you another team in a different team or something. Since that's what you go team. But no, I think it gives them great pleasure to exercise control over people that they never wanted to be free. Shedeur said it, I have time. And that's honestly why I'm like, you know what? I don't want Shedeur to have to go to Detroit because I know they're trying to disrupt his progress. I want him to stay right there because he's already the best in Cleveland. So let's just keep on moving forward. And when they go to camp on July 30th and he ball out in training camp, and they only let him play in the preseason, and then they shell him until Pickett or Flacco get hurt, then they're going to have to rely on him. And that's going to be God parting the Red Sea. And sometimes that's just what needs to happen. You need to keep getting told over and over and over. By God, this ain't you ain't running nothing here. So that's just what we're gonna do. That's why we support Shedeur. That's why we encourage him. That's why we check on him, make sure he's safe. You know, that's why we really doing this. That's why I ain't talking about really nothing else except for a few things here and there. There's a lot of people talking about a lot of stuff. But this is important because what they did to him is wrong and they still do it. And I see it. And I think others are starting to see it too. So we're gonna see how far they go. Meanwhile, we're going to support Shedeur and make sure his mental stays on top because he's good. And that makes me happy. Preach regarding they needed a story. Yeah, they needed a story. The story didn't work with Cam. The story didn't work with Milroe. But it sure worked with Shedeur because of Coach Prime. But they've been trying to sabotage Coach Prime and Shedeur since college. And it didn't work. But the NFL figured, well, let me try. But they got their own agenda. College got their agenda too with these black quarterbacks. Understand that. They see the same thing that the NFL see. Oh, we live in a different time. I ain't gotta let them go forward. I can hold them back like I used to. But there are people out here protesting in 50 states, and I don't think they all protesting about the same thing. I think the media wants you to think it's about one thing and it's isolated to one city, but it's not. Hell, they was in Atlanta. I was asking somebody, I was like, they protested in Atlanta. Is Buford Highway Atlanta? That's exactly what I said. I'm like, so I told somebody there was no protest. I said, y'all don't know Atlanta. Y'all think you know Atlanta, not y'all, but people in general. I said, they're going to be in Atlanta next. Last night on the news, protest, but they said Buford Highway, so I don't know if that's Atlanta or not. But I knew they was going to be out there. I knew they was already outside. But they're normally downtown, but for whatever reason, maybe they thought it made sense to go out there. I don't even know how far that is from midtown or downtown. I have no clue. People have been telling us it was Dylan's job to lose. Pickett and Flacco will be gone next year. Stay strong, 12. They should do gonna be there next year. They should do gonna be somewhere else. They had Baker Mayfield. They ain't do right either. Shedeur said he patient and enjoys learning. Right. That's what I like. That's that Russell Wilson. That's that Russell Wilson. Because that's what you need. That's that Russell Wilson. Telling you, I know it when I see it. That's why I said I'm gonna put them two on the thumbnail. Because you can't mess with either one of them. I'm like, New York, they didn't want Shedeur. They went through hell to make sure. They assassinated his character and turned around and who's standing right there? The one. They got the right one. Shedeur is grown. No need to worry about him. Hello. Hello. When I say that we keep up with Shedeur, we not worrying and biting our nails, but we are supportive. And we're going to continue to be supportive because it's not about him being grown and isolated. It's about him being grown with a support because it still takes a village, especially in these types of environments. The environment he went into was hostile. That's why he wasn't comfortable. And now you see he's comfortable. And see, that's what they want. They want you to have that attitude. Oh, he grown, don't worry about him. What's that called? Division. Why they can beat up on him while you ain't looking. Because you don't care enough to look because he grown. Grown people got to be looked after every day. Especially when they're walking into environments that they're not accustomed to or that they don't fully understand. But when our young people keep getting locked up for snapping on people and losing their livelihoods and their freedom to a corporate penal system because their frontal lobe not fully developed, grown people need to look after grown people. All right, I'm out of here. We'll be back at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll just see what's going on. We just talk about hot topics and whatever's going on. Oh, I always got a fallback plan. So I'll talk to y'all later. Thank y'all so much. It was what, 67 of us in the chat. I take it. I appreciate it. 262 views. We'll take it. And we'll be back at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on What She Said Sports.